With a lot of new technology over the years, it starts off as something that people are curious about. It's curiosity. And then businesses look at it and they're not quite sure how to deal with it. And so it becomes a checklist item. We don't want to miss something, right? So let's make sure that we've got it covered. And so with agencies and big brands, you're starting to see that right now, right? Where they're like, okay, let us show you how you can implement Alexa and voice activation and voice purchasing, be available so you're compatible with Show and how people can reach it so they can watch things. And so I think that makes sense from an agency perspective and why you're starting to see things there. In terms of content, it's like the early days of the internet. I'm old now, right? So I was around the beginning of PCs and local area networks and the internet and streaming and HDTV. And when there's a lot of different choices, it's hard to stand out, but you've got to understand and you have to be there early in when you're creating content, because even though you might not get a lot of traction early on, you get the strongest understanding because there's not a lot at stake, And so we're starting to see artists become a lot more active where, they've created scripts, they've created keywords that are out there that allow people just to say, play this artist, do this, and they're telling their fans to do that, right? And so these triggers, they become very easy triggers that are easy for people to remember. Those are all opportunities that are available now. And as it grows and the devices are more plentiful and people become educated. I mean, we've all been in the situation where all heavy users, voice activation users, been where you're somewhere and you start to say, Alexa, and you realize there's no devices around, and then you've got to pull out your phone and do something else. Well, when people are more, when that's more ingrained in people's mindsets and approach to life, if you're not there as an agency marketing, as a content provider, as a brand selling products, you're at a huge disadvantage because, what did Jeff say, that there were 100 million Alexa-enabled devices right now?
Yeah.
They're not all going to be looking for the same thing, and relative to the internet on scale, that's still relatively small. But that's a big selling opportunity. And so I think there's unique opportunities to grab those keywords, to identify with yourself, to do the skill sets, the skills and work required so that as people really, it just becomes entrenched that they're speaking as opposed to looking up, you're there. People don't live their lives trying to figure out what's next. But that's the fun part, what's next? I think there's so many changes, and Alexa is one important tool in that tool set. You've got to be able to capture it. You've got to be able to communicate. My son literally will be playing Fortnite, and I'll be able to call the Alexa Show that, unless he's talking to one of his other friends, by just saying, call Jake in game room, and I'll be able to grab him and talk to him. And he turns off drop-ins, but I hopefully can drop in if I'm on the road and talk to him as well. And you can even take that even further, just thinking it out in terms of customer support. Okay, let us drop in on you, or in terms of, here's a set of tools in terms of bots. There's so many things that this can evolve to that allow you to connect to your community, that when you do have a great product, when you do have a great game or whatever it may be, and you're trying to extend it, you have to leverage all the tools and you have to know what's changing, because it doesn't matter how good it was. If Fortnite didn't have that communications ability, it wouldn't be anything.